Hey everyone, welcome to In the Life. It's good to see you guys here. I see a lot of people are joining in. It's great to see you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Hi Surya, I'm doing good. How are you? Alright, so we have people joining in. Perfect. We're just gonna wait for some time for people to join in and then we can begin this week's edition of In the Spotlight. Okay. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Perfect. Alright. Alright everyone, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to this week's edition of In the Spotlight. My name is Rohit. For those who've joined us for the first time, In the Spotlight is basically a 1 hour session that we do on Instagram on Fridays where we talk to one successful owner from our business. It's basically a chat where we talk about we discuss relevant topics basically pertaining to our business. Today we have with us one of the most successful women entrepreneurs in the business. She's been there for a very long time, and we're very excited to have women entrepreneurs on our platform on our live sessions. So without our guest tonight is Kiran Grewal, business owner of Access Solar organization, and like I said, she's been in the business for quite some time, and let's bring her on now that most of you guys have joined in. So let's bring in on Kiran.
Hi guys, good evening everyone. Good evening Rohit.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm good. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Perfect.
Am I audible to you as
Okay.
well?
Yes.
Perfect. So just give me a second. Alright. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking out the time to be a part of this. It's always good to see, successful owners on a page, on a channel. So, like I was telling everybody that today we're going to be talking about, recruiting and training today for a better tomorrow. Investing time basically this week. So, without any further ado, you can take over.
Okay. Thank you so much Rohit. Good evening everyone, and thanks a lot Rohit for giving me this chance to speak. So I just wanted to talk about recruitment and why recruitment is important, or why training is important, and how you can really be a good recruiter, how can you really be a good trainer. But I believe that before you actually talk about why you should be, or why you should recruit, that's very important. I think everybody can do anything as long as their why is very clear. So when I was new in this business, I used to do a lot of sales, and I was very happy selling for like a really long time. I was not at all interested in recruitment unless and until Sukesh, my trainer, once he told me that if you're not going to recruit, you actually can't grow. And I didn't realize that, and I obviously kept on focusing on myself, and even if I would recruit somebody, or if I was building a team, it was very half-hearted affair, right? And then eventually I saw somebody who had joined with me at a much better position than I am right now. I was at that moment, I'm sorry, and that person had more guys than me, and the person was growing in the company. And that's when I realized that no matter how much ever you can do on your own, you always need a team, and that's the only way you can really grow. So that's when I really realized that recruitment is kind of important. So I just want to brush up a little bit about why exactly recruitment is important and why you should invest in recruitment, right? So first thing what you need to understand is, please understand that recruitment is an investment, right? And it just doesn't have to be a monetary investment. It is an investment in terms of time. It's an investment in terms of energy. You have to really invest a lot, to attract someone, and to just have somebody, follow you, or have somebody as a part of your team. You want someone to, someone to get inspired by you and come to office every day because of you. Now that's not easy, right? Obviously, you have to have certain qualities for somebody to really respect you that way. right? So it's an investment. You got to invest a lot of time. And I'm kind of going back and forth in recruitment and training here, of course, but I'm majorly right now focusing on recruitment. Right, you got to invest a lot of time and energy in attracting the right people in your company. Right, so obviously you want the best, you need the best, because what a lot of us fail to understand is that we go for this lot of people. We want like 20 people on our team, we want like 40 people, 50 people, or 100 people on our team. Right, I honestly would suggest everyone, when you're starting to just recruit and when you're starting to just kind of just starting to build a team, right, just focus on recruiting 2 to 3 good people. Build a good base, and that's going to take some time, right? But why you need really good people on your team is because tomorrow those are the people who are going to build further with you. I'm not saying your work is done when you build 2, 3 good guys. Of course, your work is not done. But those first 2, 3 good guys that you build, that's very important. Because if you're building 2, 3 great guys on your team, that's when you have a strong base. So building a team or building an organization is very similar to building a building, like a construction, like building a building, right? It's like have you ever like gone past a construction site? You'll see like if you've just started the construction, you'll see like it's like underground. So they first build a base, they do cementing, they kind of dig into the ground, they do cementing, and they kind of have this this layer and layer after layer. Correct. Foundation, that's the word I was looking for. You have a strong foundation, and once the foundation is built, then they start building, from the ground floor onwards, upwards, of course. And what's something that I never noticed, and once it just came to my attention, right, is that building a foundation, it actually takes 70% of the time, and the building actually takes only 30% of the time to be built. Okay. Right? So that's very similar to how, when you're building a team, the foundation, your first initial few guys, the foundation is the most important thing. If your foundation is strong, right, then obviously when you build a team, that's going to be strong as well. Right? So what you need to understand is you want good guys. You definitely want, quality over quantity. Right? That's when you have like 2, 3 good guys also on your team. You're excited to build more, you're excited to work harder. Like, you need to have people in your team who inspire you to work hard, and for that you need to be somebody who can inspire people to work hard. So it's kind of like a give and take in between you and your teammates, right? So that ways you want to make sure that you're looking out for only good candidates. So you have to make sure that you're reducing poor hires, people who are not that good, right? You got to make sure that you're not hiring just for the sake of it. Like right now, I've kind of slowed down recruitment in my team, and we are just focusing on quality, and we're just focusing on numbers. And the reason we are doing that is because everybody in my team, we just started telesales because of COVID. It's not something that any of us anticipated, but yeah, it's going great. So obviously, telesales is something we're taking some time to get used to it, to get the hang of it. So I'm not recruiting in bulk. At the same time, I don't want to pressurize the people because they're just learning the skills. Another thing what you need to understand is the base of your team is everything, right? So your base has to be good, and you will always take 70% of your time to build your base and 30% of your time, to build the rest of your team. Right? So that's something that you always need to remember. I think that's something we all forget. We get in this rat race where we're like, okay, one more, now I want to build one more. But that one guy that you've built, he's not yet strong, he's not yet independent, he's not yet confident, and he's like, still trying to seek help from you. And then that's where, they go like, okay, my trainer really doesn't care about my future, my trainer is not really that interested in me, he's just recruiting more people, or he's just recruiting more people. And that's when, you kind of end up losing the good guys, right? The ones who are good recruits, you'll actually end up losing them. And that's why it's very important that it's a process and you give it a lot of time. Right?
Can I ask
now,
a question?
Yes.
So when you say, when you are recruiting, do you only recruit from a sales point of view because you want the numbers to go, but also do you see traits of that person, whether he would have a team management skills, recruiting skills to recognize people, further down the line once he becomes a trainer or once he gets into recruiting, does he have those traits? Do you get to know that initially, or does it take time for you to understand that as well?
I never recruit people for sales because I believe that sales is a skill. You can teach it to anybody, right? What I look out for in somebody when I'm recruiting someone is a couple of qualities. The first quality is discipline. So we conduct lot of stages of recruitment in our office, right? So you get to know the discipline of the person over a period of 2 to 3 days, because we have first rounds on the first day, then the second rounds are conducted on the second day, second, third, and fourth rounds, and fifth rounds are conducted on the third day. So between those 2-3 days, I get to know, I get to know like whether the person is disciplined or not. The second thing I always look out for in someone is honesty. Right, these are things. So discipline, honesty. I will also look out for some hard-working person. I look out for these couple of qualities in someone. I'm not recruiting someone only for sales. I am not recruiting someone only for management. I don't look at this person, someone, and go like, oh, can this person be a manager tomorrow? Can this person handle a team of 20 people? Can this person sell? I'm just like, okay, are you on time? Are you honest? And are you hardworking? And I believe if somebody has these 3 basic qualities, rest is up to me. It's on my training skills. How well I train someone will decide, how well they really perform or how far they go in my organization or with me. So that is something that I totally believe that there is no good or bad candidate in terms of what you just said, sales or everything else. I think these are the basic qualities everyone should look at. Right? Because our training module is so good. We do end up training everybody. I don't think anybody can, I don't believe that no one can sell, and I don't believe that no one can be a manager. It's just that they have to have the will, and for that they need to develop the skill, and for that your training has to be very good, which I'm obviously going to come to a little later. Right? The next thing I want to talk about in terms of recruitment is you got to have your tasks allocated. Right? You need to know when you're doing your job postings. Your HRs need to know well in advance when you're recruiting. You need to know when you're doing your first round, second rounds. You have people in your team, they need to know when they are recruiting. It shouldn't be very, very haphazard. You can't decide that you want to recruit on Monday on a Sunday afternoon and just call up your HRs and go like, I want interviews tomorrow. They're obviously going to give you interviews because they want to, they have to, they don't have a choice. But you're not going to get that quality, the quality that you're looking out for. So always make sure that you're planning recruitment way in advance. Like maybe 1 week ago or 10 days ago, I'll always inform my HRs that next week I want recruitment. I want you to set up some interviews for me, and they will always ask me what kind of interviews do you want. So I'm going to probably explain them like I want specifically these kind of people. I want specifically those kind of people, and I'm not going to take any other kind of people. Right, so I'm not going to compromise on what I've just said. Sometimes, they try to fix interviews and they might not get the right candidates. I'm not going to simply select them because I didn't have the right candidates. I'm going to be like, no problem, let's try it again. But I'll not select the people that I don't want to select. Right? And you have to be a good recruiter yourself. That's very important. Right? To recruit a good team, you need to know how to acquire good talent. Right? And for that, there are some things you can always control. And some of those things are, being well-dressed, talking sense when you're trying to recruit someone, not talking nonsense, being professional with the person, right? Having goals for yourself, having goals for each and every person on your team, right? Talking about your vision, talking about your goals, again, very important according to me, right? You have to be growth-oriented and you have to speak also growth-oriented. Right, so you need to have a good online presence. You got to have a page for your company. You got to make sure you're posting on it constantly. You got to make sure your personal page, whatever personal page you have, you're reposting on that again and again. Because people need to see your presence. Because today we hire a lot of millennials, and millennials, the first thing they do, the moment they get a call from your HR, okay, we're looking out for someone, and we want you to come tomorrow for interview. Before they even cut the call, right? they'll first open Instagram and they'll first open Facebook, and they're going to be like, okay, what is this company all about? First they'll open Instagram, then they'll go to the company website. Like, that's how important online presence has become. So you have to use all these platforms to your advantage, right? And make life easy for your existing people. Like, your existing team should be happy. They shouldn't be stressed out all the time. I believe that a happy team recruits more, and and that's very important, because if your existing people are stressed out and they're like really really under a lot of pressure, you'll never really attract good people. And even if you do attract good people, you'll end up losing them real soon, because they kind of understand. The atmosphere in the air is like that. Okay? They understand. So I think these are some of the really important points that we have, for recruitment. I genuinely believe that you should only select people who you would want to work with yourself. Like, when I'm recruiting for myself or for the people in my team, the one golden rule I have is, do I want to work with this guy? Would I want to train him myself? If my answer is yes, then I will definitely recruit that person in someone else in my team. Otherwise, I won't. Right? So
I want to ask you a
these are
question
the
a little
reasons.
in the same line. So when you're recruiting for your team as well, do you also recruit from a point, okay, this guy is very, his traits of characters are very familiar to a person that's already working with you. So this guy would really do well under him. So do these traits or do these thoughts also come to your mind when you're recruiting?
Yes. That's called as profiling. What you're mentioning is called as profiling. Definitely, I do
this
a lot
profile matches with my trainer, this ex-trainer, he will work very well with him.
Always. That thought always comes to my mind. In fact, when I'm doing interviews and I'm talking to someone, I'm like, oh, this person is so going to match with that person. They're like so similar. And I think that's also very important, right? A very important point. I think that question had an answer also. You need to profile the right people with the right people, right? And I've always noticed this, when you profile, like, sometimes you don't end up recruiting good people just because of bad profiling. And sometimes you recruit really good people just because of good profiling. So exposing them to the right people in the initial few days is also very important. And exposing them to people around you who are more successful than you is also equally important. So what we do in my office, we have a lot of offices in my office. So when somebody is new, and if they are, like, for example, they're an engineer and they are getting into sales for the first time, I will obviously introduce them to more engineers in my team or more engineers in my office who are doing well, because I know that they are here, but they're always questioning themselves, is this the right place for me? So when they meet a couple of people from their background, they're like, yeah, this sounds good, this looks good. If this guy is doing it, even I can give it a try. Definitely, I can also get trained. Oh, this guy's also an engineer and he's doing sales. Good, so that means even I can do it. So if somebody's an MBA, I'm going to obviously not introduce him to somebody who's not an MBA. I'll introduce him to a couple of people who are MBAs. So profiling is obviously very important, and putting the right people in the right team is also very important. A lot of times we don't do the right profiling and we end up losing good guys because of that. Right? So that is, I think, pretty much about recruitment. I want to move on to the topic of training and why you should invest and how you really should invest your time, energy, money and effort in training people, right? The first thing I believe is, again, something I learned from my trainer, is that you should work personally with each and every person on your team. Whether they are directly working with you or they are your first gens or second gens or third gens or fourth gens, you got to work with everyone. And I think that is something that is very important, because you need to create that personal bond with everyone in your team. They need to know you. They need to kind of, they need to be excited. But when they look at you, they should not look at you and go like, oh, this person is the boss, very unapproachable. You should be very, very approachable as a person. And for that, you need to work with someone. So when you work with somebody for a couple of hours, you talk to them, that's when you become very approachable for them. And I think it's very important to work with each and every person on your team. And the next thing is, you need to focus on efficiency, right? Instead of making your people work for long hours, teach them how to work for a limited number of hours and get more results. It's like when you give a CAT exam. I think that everybody can clear CAT. It's really not that difficult, but they have a lot of questions in a really short span of time that you need to answer. So only the ones who are efficient are actually able to clear that exam. It's the ones who are not able to finish the paper, they're not able to clear that exam. It's not that they don't know the answers, it's just that they never reach those questions because they were slow. They're very slow at reading and answering each and every question. So you got to be very, very efficient. That's something that I always believe. So efficiency over working long number of hours. Instead of making your people work till late night, early mornings, and weekends, and weekdays, and 7 days a week, I think you should teach them, and it's totally up to you to teach them how to get results. Obviously, hard work is very, very important. I am totally up for hard work, but with hard work, you should also teach them smart work. If you only teach your people smart work, you will not get good managers. If you only teach your people hard work, you will not get good salespeople. If you want both, you need to teach them both, right? And reduce attrition rates. If you do these things, if your people know how you're working and how to get results, and if they are well spoken to, if they are well connected with, I think that it also reduces the attrition rates of people, the attrition rate of your company, right? And for that, you also need to give good incentives. You cannot be like, yeah, I'm paying you any which way, so this is your salary or this is your incentive, right? You gotta make sure that you're setting up incentives every week, every day, every month. Like in our office, we have incentives every week. We have special incentives for the weekend. We have special incentives for weekdays. Sometimes we have special incentives like the other day on Independence Day, we were working. And I know Independence Day is not a day that people want to work, right? Of course, it's a good day for us. But then we had a lot of incentives for that day, and almost everybody in my team won something that day, right? So it was very exciting. People wanted to work. Suddenly they forgot that they were working on Independence Day, and they were like, yeah, we are excited to win this incentive. So the only thing is, people don't care how much you know, but they want to know how much you care. So, and that's only possible when you spend some time working with everyone on your team, and you don't go like, yeah, you're working with this one, you're working with this one. What am I going to do? I'm not doing anything today, because I'm the boss. Instead you should spend that time working with someone and developing that bond with somebody. Because if you want good people to stay back with you, right, you're going to have a strong base. You're going to have a strong base. A strong base will actually give you a really, really big organization. But if we want a really, really big organization, then we have to make sure that we are working with each and every person. We are creating that strong bond with them, right? And I think, earlier I think we were having a chat with, and you brought up this point, a very, very valid point, that this lockdown period has kind of obviously slowed down the success rate at which we were moving forward, or the pace with which we were moving forward. But we should utilize this time to create a strong base. And if you have a base, you should use this time to kind of instill belief and confidence in them all over again. So when the lockdown gets over, you have a good base to kind of start with. And then you can expand a lot more, because right now everybody is looking out for a good opportunity in the market. A lot of people are not getting jobs. People who are in jobs are not getting paid, and that's the truth, right? So I think we should use this time to, create a strong base for ourselves. Right, and you need to do that by leading by example by yourself. And I think one thing you need to remember when you're training people is you gotta preach what you're saying. Right, you gotta practice what you're preaching. Right? You're gotta lead by example. You can't say one thing and do the other and go like, but I said this, so you should do this. No, your people are gonna follow what you do, not what you say.
Correct.
So I think these are some things that are very important when you're training someone.
My question is, so right now, like you rightly mentioned, this is a pandemic situation that has been happening, and it has affected sales at this point of time, but and also I've been speaking to other owners and all, and it's opened up opportunities for recruitment, etc. So what kind of ratio would you put between training and and recruiting and sales right at this current point of time? So what would you invest in more?
It really depends team to team, company to company, trainer to trainer. Like in my office, I've got a couple of trainees who are doing good sales, so I am providing them with recruitment. But there are also some people who are not able to do good sales, so for them I'm not able to provide them with. And I don't want to burden them, because they're already burdened with getting some numbers. So if you ask me whether we should focus on recruitment or sales, I believe first you should get your sales going, and if your sales is good, then you should focus on recruitment, because there is no point adding more people, right, than focusing on the ones you already have. One in the bush is better than two in the hand. One in the hand is better than two in the bush.
Correct. Okay.
right? So one in hand is always better than two in the bush. So whatever people you have in your team right now, they are more important than the ones you can possibly recruit. I mean, if you put an ad out today with 30% unemployment in Mumbai going on right now, or all over the country, in fact, for that matter, at least 100 to 200 people will apply for your ad. Who doesn't want a job today? So recruitment is not difficult. You will recruit thousands of good people today. But who will train those people? Do you have people in your team who are confident enough to do that? Or are you confident enough to train people? And if any of this is not true, then I think it's better you focus on the people you already have than on people you can have.
So I have another question. So when it comes to training, what is your training strategy, and what kind of training do you impart on your people right now at this current stage, and how are you doing it basically?
I'm just working with everyone day in and day out. We haven't recruited for some time now, and we plan to recruit next week. The last time we recruited was a month ago. So I'm working with each and every person on my team, like throughout the entire day. So they will take a break when I will take a break, right? They will eat when I will eat. They will get done with work when I will get done with work. Or to say it the other way around, I will get done with work when they will get done with work, right? And I think my strategy, as you asked, what is my strategy for training someone? My strategy is, once I'm done training you, you have to be as good as I am. Otherwise, I'm not done training you. So whatever I'm doing in terms of numbers of sales, recruitment, training, you should be able to do everything that I'm doing.
Okay. So currently, what kind of training are you focusing on? Majorly that you're focusing. I know training is a very wide thing that's happening right now. That everybody's doing Zoom, but what kind of training are you focusing on more right now?
Right now we are working on this alternate presentations training. So everybody does alternate presentations. We are all on the calls together. We have a lot of trainings done in the morning. We have a lot of pitching practice happening. We conduct morning meetings which are filled with excitement, energy. Right in the evenings, we have again sessions in the evenings. We have game nights. We have apps on your phone through which you can do virtual game nights. We do lots and lots of things together. So we have movie nights, where we watch movies together. We do a lot of things, and we do a lot of, Google Me or whatever, your Zoom, where you're kind of connecting everyone together. We do a lot of team calls during the day. So I have at least 4 to 5 team calls in a day with my personal team, right? Then we have a lot of organization calls also. So there's just a lot happening. It's very active. Like, I don't think there is anybody in my team who is not spoken to by me for more than 2 hours in a day. So either on WhatsApp or on a call, I will always connect with them within every 1 hour, every 2 hours. I'm like, okay, what's happening with you? What do you need? You want me to work with you? Okay, what response are you getting? No problem. This is a solution. Let's go for this. If somebody's performed, we get them to talk in the afternoon calls. We're like, okay, can you tell us how you performed in the first half? If somebody's performed it, we're like, okay, can you tell us how you perform? Right? So everybody is, people need to feel secure in your leadership. They need to feel that you are going to be there for them, and you're just not looking at them as a money-making machine to make money for me, right? And you're like, you're going to be there for them. You're going to, if they fall, you're going to be there. So you got to have their back. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. Everyone in my team knows they can call me anytime. I'm ready to work with them. They can chat with me anytime. The other day I was talking to one of my people about the business, and you won't believe this, till 2:30 in the night. And we were just talking about the business. And that person had a couple of questions, and this person has spoken to me about the same things like almost 20 times since the lockdown. Right? And I didn't go like, hello, we've had this conversation so many times. How many times are you going to ask me the same questions? I was like, no problem. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm asking you the same question again. I'm like, don't be sorry, it's okay. At least you're interested. For me, I'm like, at least this guy's interested. He wants to know how interested I am. So for me, if somebody in my team is interested, I'm super interested. I could have said, it's quite late, let's sleep, we can talk about this tomorrow. But I don't want to do that. So yeah.
Perfect. All right. So if there are people who want to ask Simran a question, you can always leave your questions in the comment box, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to answer those. So do we have any questions
Yes.
from people?
Anybody has a question, you guys can please ask me any questions that you have.
So while we wait for the questions, how have things been in the COVID situation for you guys, for your organization, for you actually?
So we used to do face-to-face. We used to do a lot of events earlier. So when the lockdown was announced, we had a couple of options. We could either shut down and wait for the lockdown to get over, and at that time it seemed like a lucrative option because at that time it was said the lockdown is only for 3 weeks, and let's be honest, none of us knew it's going to go on for this long.
Yeah.
Right. So we do have one question, but I'll come to that question right after I answer yours. And then we decided let's try telemarketing. Let's try how this is done. And then we started it, and it was not easy. It was very different. We were like, oh, we've done face-to-face telemarketing is a walk in the park. But it was not. It's very different. Like I had people in my team who were super high rollers in face-to-face, and they couldn't perform that well in telemarketing. And I also had people in my team who were like really not that good in face-to-face. Like they would just get minuscule results, and they were like super good at telemarketing. So it's like playing two different sports altogether. It's like if you're good at football, doesn't mean you have to be good at volleyball or cricket. Or if you're good at cricket, doesn't mean you have to be good at football. So it was like that.
So based on that, so how easy was it? So now that right now there is on and etc. So how difficult or how easy was it to get your people to move from from an offline marketing to a telemarketing phase? I'm sure you must have faced a lot of questions and a lot of obstacles and restrictions from people that I don't want to do this. How easy or hard was it to convince them how it's the benefits of it basically?
So to be honest, it was not easy because I was myself not convinced.
Okay.
Right? I was like, if somebody calls me today, I'm going to cut the call. I'm not going to listen to the person. So like, why will someone listen to me? Why should I do this? And so because I was not convinced, obviously my team members were not convinced, and I was not even focusing on convincing them because I was so not convinced. I was like, this is not going to work out. I don't think I think let's just spend our 3 weeks enjoying ourselves. Let's watch everything on Netflix you always wanted to, right? And let's just chill. And once the lockdown is over, we'll start again. And then I realized that, it's been 1 month, and then I realized it's not going anywhere. COVID is not going anywhere. COVID is here to stay. And then I realized I have to create an alternative medium for my business. I can't just sit here and complain. So then I had to take up telemarketing as something that I genuinely wanted to do. And when I decided, okay, I want to do this, I obviously found ways to do this. I spoke to people who are doing well. I had to start performing myself. So leadership is all about you doing it yourself and then telling your people to do it. Not first telling them to do it and then going like, oh, okay, you've done it. Good job. Because no one's going to do it. So at that time, I was just convincing everyone, it's going to happen, don't worry, you can do this, you can do this. And then once I realized that I need to perform first, I went out, I learned the skill myself. It took me about 1 month to learn the skill of telemarketing. Some days I would get great results, some days I would not get results, I would go out on a duck. It was not that easy. Right? But once I actually got results and I showed results to my team on a consistent basis, suddenly I didn't have to convince them, they were like, how are you doing it? Can you teach us? I say, yeah, sure, I would love to. And I did. And that's how, it became easy. So leading is always the easiest thing to do. Convincing is always the most difficult thing to do.
Okay, so let's get back to Topaz 21's question. I think she asked, hey, how do you decide whatever decision you take is a good decision or not?
I think your results will tell you about whether it's a good decision or not. Always, so to be very honest, over a period of time, you will understand what's a good decision, what's a bad decision. That is always going to be situational. So you will get that experience by making a couple of bad decisions. You cannot naturally be good at making decisions. And I think you're talking about team building when you're talking about decision making over here, because that's what we're talking about. But I believe that after having burnt your fingers a couple of times with wrong decisions, you understand what's a good decision, and then you want to make the right decision. So how do you understand whether it's a good decision or not? Either you can speak to people who have a lot of experience in the same field, right? So you can ask, people who are senior to you, who have done things what you're doing, and they have experience in what you're doing. So when I'm facing a really, really tough decision, I don't know what's the right thing to do, I always go to my trainers like the Sukesh or the Sai, and people around me who are successful or who have faced a similar situation in the past and who are succeeding now, who've come through that situation. And if I feel that that's the right, whatever answers I get, I will obviously analyze. I'll not blindly follow it. I'll analyze my answers. If I feel it's the right decision and okay, I want to go ahead with it, I'll take that decision. And eventually, over a period of time, I'll understand if it was the right or the wrong decision. If it was the right decision, great. I'll go ahead with making similar decisions in the future with similar situations. If it was not, I'll go the opposite way. Another thing which is really going to help you make a good decision is trust your gut. I got this advice by my trainer when I would literally go and ask him every small question. He was like, you don't have to ask me every small question. Just trust your gut. Whatever your gut feeling tells you, that is always right. I was like,
Alright,
okay.
so we have a question. Alright, so we have a question from one of my favorite
Yes, we have
people.
another question.
Yeah, P. Henny is someone who asks questions in every session of ours. She's a question master.
Okay,
and she asked how many days a guy takes to be independent in telesales. Is there any schedule you follow in your office with new guys after they join?
So to be honest, I don't have a schedule. Till the time the guy has not done 2 to 3 sales independently while on calls with me, he's going to work with me. That could be 2 days, it could be 5 days, it could be 10 days. I've trained people in telesales for 15 days also. Some of my senior trainers, I'm still training them. It's been 5 months since we're doing telemarketing. But still I'm training some of my senior trainers. There's no guarantee. I mean, we haven't really invented the wheel here when it comes to telesales.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of training people, of course, we're selling a lot, but in terms of training people, I think that is still something I'm trying to figure out for myself. But a right answer would be just work with the guy till the time the guy has not sold in front of you at least 2 to 3 times, all by himself or herself without your help.
Perfect. Alright, so are there any other questions that people would like to ask? Let's just wait for a minute or so to see if there are any more questions that we get.
I think I was really good.
Yeah.
People don't have any questions.
Alright, done. So, okay, thank you so much, Kiran. Thank you for taking on the time. It was a pleasure to have you on a live chat with us. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed, all of them enjoyed your session and had a lot to learn from you. And all the best, take care, and stay safe. Have a good week ahead.
Thank you so much for your time as well. It was really nice. It was a pleasure talking, and I hope my topic was helpful for some of you guys who are attending. If anything was helpful, please go ahead and follow it. And you can always ask me any questions, personally as well. And yeah, thanks a lot for spending some time with us.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So thank you so much, people. Thank you for being a part of our live session today. I hope you guys had so much great things to learn. We will see you next week for another session of In the Spotlight. Till then, have a safe week. Have a great time. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves and stay safe. And I'll catch you all soon. And before we go, please do follow Kiran on her Instagram handle and also her organization Excelsior on her Instagram channel page as well. And those of who are here for the first time, don't forget to follow us, like our post, and stay tuned for all the updates that's going to be happening on In the Spotlight for the next week. I'm sure we're going to have another great session next week with another great owner. Until then, I will see you guys. Take care and have a good night. Bye, guys.